You might already be thinking that making a guide for a person who doesn't use an outline is kinda oxymoronic, but there aren't any morons here. Not even the kind that whiten your clothes. Hello, my name is Sophia, and today we're going to talk about pantsing your novel. Some tips on what to do if you get stuck, and what you can still do this October to prepare for this November Writing Month challenge, where writers attempt to draft 50,000 words in the month of November. It's a lot. In the writing world, we often divide ourselves into planners and pantsers. Planners outline their novels, perhaps make a few character worksheets, and generally know the entire story before they start writing the actual prose. Pantsers, on the other hand, fly by the seat of their pants, and we don't really have an outline or a plan. We don't know the story before we start, and even if we do, it's only a loose collection of scenes or ideas. Maybe even just one scene that we're writing toward. I'm making this video because I so often see writers talking about how real writers use outlines, or you can't be a good writer until you understand the 3-act story structure. I firmly believe in trying different methods. If outlining is for you, that's fantastic, but it isn't for everyone, and you can be a good writer without a plan. In fact, I think it makes me an even better one. I'm constantly challenging myself to come up with exciting and dramatic ideas that keep me and my future readers engaged in my story.
So if pantsing my novel is just making it all up, what are you even going to be teaching us?
Well, little Jim, I'm going to teach you how to make stuff up. Why don't we open our fresh document, blank page and all? Hot tip: if you're someone who experiences blank page syndrome, or the existential crisis of staring at a blank white page, scared of the possibilities of the infinite future and also terrified of what that will bring, inevitable failure, well, I have just the solution. Just keyboard mash some random words and letters on the page. Now you've started. Blank page be gone. Plus, any English words you write after that will be an improvement over a mess of red underlined typos. Those are just hard to look at.
Okay, I have a page. It isn't blank. Now what?
Well, now you start. My first and best advice is that it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. This is your new mantra. Anne Lamott, in her book Bird by Bird, talks about the importance of writing a terrible first draft, or a draft that only has to exist and nothing more. And in fact, some people will challenge you to make it as bad as possible, because if you're bad at failing, well, you accidentally made it really good. There isn't really anything you can mess up here. It's supposed to be bad. Because you're going back in the future to write a second draft. I don't know how many of you are avoiding hearing this, but writing is rewriting. Your story really comes to life in the revision process. So even if you do outline your novel, no one can escape the editing and revising process. I will admit, us pantsers do a lot more of that, or at least sign up for it from the beginning. That brings me to point 2. Keep it interesting for you. If you enjoy writing that beautiful prose about a yellow leaf quivering on a branch, moments from falling to the pavement and marking the first change of a new season, then do that. But come back here when I make a video about killing your darlings.
What was that?
Nothing. The point is, writing should be fun. At least some of the time, to some degree. I mean, otherwise, how did you get here? Did you take the wrong bus or something? When you're writing your first draft, there's a large possibility that most of the words in the book will be rewritten. But writing in your own style, establishing your narrator's voice, and really diving into those juicy descriptions or dialogue scenes will all help you shape your story into what it's going to be. It helps you discover who your characters are and what they're going to do. You'll need to know your characters really well in order to find their story and advance the plot. Later on, when you realize your main character would never lie to the antagonist, even to save their own life, well, they better not lie to the antagonist to save their own life. Let's move on to advice number 3. Trust yourself to be creative. It's a tale as old as time. A writer will come up with an amazing idea. They write it, it goes well, and then they're convinced that they won't have any more ideas ever. That was their only one. The good news is that's not not true. You came up with a great idea because your brain is an idea machine. And the best news is the more you exercise your idea machine, the more ideas it makes. So imagine, as a pantser, how many times throughout your first draft alone you'll get to flex your brainstorming power. A lot. When you outline, you have to come up with a lot of good ideas all at once, and that can be really difficult. And then you just write them. So it can also sometimes feel like dusting off the cobwebs when you have to come back to another huge creative surge. But us pantsers are idea machine marathoners. Our creativity is constant and fluid and quite easy to access. Will you be stumped? Yeah. Will you get writer's block? Of course. But you'll be so pro at navigating that by the end of this draft that you'll probably have more than a few tricks up your sleeve. Plus, I'll give you some later in this video so you can pre-sleeve your tricks. I can come up with some truly unhinged and wonderful stuff when I write myself into a corner. But I also find it incredibly difficult to come up with a whole slew of unhinged and wonderful ideas all at the same time when I'm outlining. So to increase my personal unhinged to hinged ratio, I like to do a lot of my thinking on the fly.
But what if I get writer's block? Then I won't have any ideas at all, and I'll lose my writing momentum.
Yes and no. Writer's block is real and awful, but it's also curable. So let's go through those pre-sleevable tricks. 1. Try going back in your work a few sentences, scenes, or usually chapters, and changing something to alter the events that you're stuck on right now. It can be hard to identify what needs to be changed, so it might help to free write about the plot of your story, the characters, and how you got to where you are now. 2. Leave a note for your future self. Maybe this scene is hard to write because you're not very good at fight scenes, or you just need to do more research. Whatever it is, you can leave a note in your document for your revising self to fix later. Some authors use a searchable keyword in their document, like capital GGG, so they can use Command F or Control F in their document to find them all later. Or you could add a comment, and most word processors have that feature now, which allows you to see a little colorful indication that you left yourself a note. Plus, I think the comments are also searchable, which makes it nice and easy. 3. Take a break, especially during an intensive writing session like NaNoWriMo or the November Writing Challenge, or even writing on a deadline. It's important to fill your creative bucket. Go for a walk around the block and really notice the world around you. Pick up another creative hobby like drawing, playing music, or knitting to stretch your creative brain in a different direction. Go hang out with a friend and get away from your work. Having space for yourself away from the writing will actually help the writing come a lot easier. 4. Write something different. Write in a journal, work on a project, do a writing prompt, or even challenge yourself in the next immediate chapter or scene to some sort of writing challenge, like not using any words starting with the letter T. Shifting the focus helps get your mind back in the right space when you're writing. Instead of thinking on the whole book, the word count, and the future interviews you'll have as a best-selling author, this takes your focus back into the immediate problem of the scene at hand. 5. Writing begets writing. This is something my college professor used to say a lot, and what it means is that any writing makes all the rest of the writing easier. If you're writing 1,000 words every day, the neural pathways in your brain get reinforced and the job gets easier. So if you're stuck, writing a silly beach episode might keep your momentum rolling and help you get back into the real story.
But what happens if I put my character in an impossible scenario? I spent the whole book building this villain who couldn't be beaten, but now I have to beat them?
Assault is a crime, little Jim, but I know what you mean. And that happens more than I care to admit. I might write myself into a corner several times throughout one book, and as I said before, sometimes I do have to go back and write myself out of it. But when it comes to the climax of the story especially, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find my way out. After all, I made that villain, so they're not like smarter than me. There has to be a loophole somewhere, and if there isn't, I'll make one. Maybe something is impossible now, but worded slightly differently isn't. Or maybe you just have to pull out a Deus Ex Machina type plot twist. All along, the main character had a special dragon power? Did I read that right? You didn't show any signs. That's okay, because when you revise your novel, you'll add the signs, and your future readers will be like, wow, there was so much foreshadowing. I really hate to break your reading spirit, but as a writer, you should know foreshadowing is a lie. It was probably after the fact shadowing, but either way, your readers won't know that. And in draft 2, you can write the story like you knew the twist all along, because now you do. Okay, so we've thrown the whole outlining business out the window, but you still want to write a novel in November. So what can you do in October to prepare for it? Yeah, little Jim, I know how to ask myself questions too. This October, you can be exercising your writing muscle. If you're dead set on starting your story with a brand new blank document on November 1st, you can still do writing sprints, journal entries, and little scenes from every character's perspective to warm up. Getting to know your main cast will definitely help the writing go better. Plus, using your idea machine now means it'll be up and running well before November 1st, and those ideas will be a-flowing. You can also do some research. Research doesn't count towards your word count, so it can be difficult to fit it in during such an intensive word count based writing goal like November Writing Month. Doing some now ahead of time might help ease the load later on, and might provide some extra inspiration. You can keep track of all your loose ideas or inspirations in some document, just as long as you know where to find it later. It doesn't have to be organized either. It can be a bulleted list or just random phrases that you think of throughout the month. You can create a Pinterest page. Pinterest is free, riddled with ads and AI, but it's free. Making one for your book or characters might help set the tone before you dive into your book so that you understand the vibe that you're going for when you start. Similarly, I like to make a playlist. It's a really fun way to explore your characters and the vibe of your story. I personally make one with lyrics that I can listen to between writing sessions or right before, and one without lyrics that I can listen to while I'm actually writing, because lyrics are personally distracting. There's also plenty of pre-made instrumental playlists out there with all kinds of themes if you don't want to make your own. In fact, there's hours-long YouTube videos you can watch that are just a cozy scene and some lo-fi. You could create an art piece, a drawing or a collage about your book or characters. You could write a song, you could set up the perfect writing corner that'll be there all month long, or really just set up your space and warn your loved ones that you'll basically disappear. Whatever you think will help you get the words on the page this November, you can set up for yourself now in October. Just keep in mind that when November comes, the procrastinating has to end, for real. Even missing one day can put you back nearly 2,000 words, which is really hard to make up when you're already stretching your daily limits. So my suggestion is to lean heavily on the writing warm-ups and sprinkle in the non-writing prep for the rest of October. For those who don't already know, NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month, is a challenge in November wherein you attempt to write 50,000 words in 1 month. That's the length of a short novel, depending on genre. But writing 50,000 words is difficult in 1 month, to say the least, and averages out to be 1,667 words per day, roughly. It's a great time to embark on a new writing journey, put some extra work in on a current project, and or connect with fellow writers doing the same. Many writers still enjoy participating in the challenge on their own, even if they're not using the website, and there are still places to find other writers looking for community. When this video is posted, it'll be mid-October, or Preptober, when writers work on their outlines, prepare their characters, or in your case, create a playlist. On this channel, you can expect lots of writing content in the next month, as well as lots of live events over on my Patreon. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there aren't any patrons over there right now, so if you became a patron and attended my live event, it would be like a one-on-one session with me. Also, if you like tracking your word count goals and want a different avenue to do so outside of the NaNoWriMo organization's website, we have that too. Another creator who I follow, Gina Denny, posted a Google Sheets link a year or two ago that people can use to track their word count in roughly the same way the NaNoWriMo website did. And it applies to any challenge for any amount of words for any month of the year. Gina Denny does not know me, but she makes great videos about writing and especially about publishing if you're interested in that. Check out her channel on YouTube or over on TikTok. Please remember to like this video if you like writing content, and to subscribe if you want to join the Happy Creative Collective. Anyways, thank you so so much for watching, and as always, happy creating.